Well, hello, everybody. Brian Burke, the editor of the Music and Sound Retailer. Really happy to join you. I know it's been at least a couple weeks or so since we've had one of these, so it's really fantastic to join you. And we still have the Zooms going on, whether pandemic or no pandemic. So just want everyone to know. We have a special guest, Taylor Buck. He's the marketing director of Cordoba Music Group. We have not spoken to this company before, so this is going to be a real treat for everybody. So, first of all, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. It's great.
I think first, we're going to have this in the magazine as well. So I think if you could just tell, all the retailers about first about the company, and then we're going to get into yourself as well. But let's first start with everything you do and the brands that you're responsible for and a little about each brand.
Sure, yeah. So Cordoba Music Group is the parent company. It oversees Cordoba guitars, Guild guitars, Diarmid, the pickup brand, and Humicase as well. We also distribute a couple strings companies as well, Savarez and Aquila. Our Cordoba is the largest nylon string guitar manufacturer in the world, a big global presence. Guild is a brand that's been around for decades, since '53. We took that brand on in 2014 from Fender. So that's been a big initiative of ours, is to get that brand on track. It's one of the brands that everyone knows and loves. And it's been fun for us to kind of get that one going again. And, we're actually out here in the Oxnard headquarters where we build the USA guitars. So we're seeing them every day come off the line. But those are the main brands that we cover. My role here is the marketing director. I oversee all of the brands. On a global level, I work with the European teams, our international distributors all around the world as well. And I've been doing that since 2019.
Okay, great. I know a little about the Guild. I lived in Hoboken for a while, so I know there's a definite history there with Guild.
Sure.
In New Jersey, I'm talking about. Well, give us a little more about your background. You said you joined in 2019. What else have you done? Why do you want to be where you are? Why do you enjoy the job? And what are some of the other things you've done?
Yeah, so I've been in the music industry for a while. I started at Musician's Friend back in the day. I started out of school as a designer for them in Oregon, where I'm from. And I became the art director there. Took over responsibility of the creative for that company. And then in 2011, Guitar Center merged with Musician's Friend and moved a lot of the facilities to Westlake Village, where their headquarters is now with Guitar Center. So they offered me a job to come down and continue that role. So I was overseeing the Musician's Friend brand as the creative director for years. And then I was creative director at Guitar Center up until 2018. And then I went for a year overseeing the creative branding for Live Nation Entertainment for about a year or two.
Oh.
So that was a nice jump into a similar industry, but more entertainment level. And I did that for about a year. And then I had this opportunity come up with Cordoba, who I had been in contact with a bit. I'd been selling or working to promote their instruments for years at Guitar Center. And I really got into their branding. My background is in visual branding, marketing, creative. And I remember early on, actually, back when I was at Musician's Friend back in 2007, seeing some of the Cordoba branding, the advertising, and how they were setting themselves aside as this kind of lifestyle company. And I was really always drawn to it. And this position came up to oversee all of the brands. And I reached out to them and we connected with Tim McClouchy, the CEO, John Thomas, the president, and just had a great conversation with them. And they brought me on board. And now I'm overseeing the marketing department, building up a team here. And that's where we're at.
The rest is history, as I say, right?
Yeah.
That's great. And, that's just tremendous news, and congrats on that. You mentioned something interesting. You talked about Guild. rebuilding that. If you have to get into rebuilding it itself, the company itself, obviously I think that would be helpful about some things there. But when you have to, you're a marketing expert, so when you have to rebuild a brand in MI, what are some of the main things you have to do? I mean, obviously you have a name out there that people do know, but what is it? What are your top priorities when you have to rebuild a brand? We've seen some others in this industry that have had to be rebuilt, and some of them have been very successful. Some haven't. So, what are some of the things you have to do when you're trying to rebuild a brand in general?
That's a great question. Yeah. I think for some people, starting a brand is so hard to do in an industry this big when there's so many key players out there. So it's a bit daunting to do that. When you have a legacy brand like Guild, that at one point was one of the top 3 acoustic makers in the world. Everyone was playing Guild through the 70s and 80s. I think if you were trying to start something now, it'd be a little bit more difficult. But because there's so much legacy to tie into with this brand, for me, it's just about connecting the dots the right way. Because the reverence for the brand is there. There's some of the best crafted acoustic guitars in the world. And there is a reverence for them. When people think about some of the best built guitars, they think Guild, they think Gibson, they think some of these big names. So for me, it's connecting the dots into, here's a brand that's been around for a long time. They've got such legacy information to tap into, an artist roster that includes every name you can imagine. How do we get that back into the spotlight again? So for us, really, it was, let's make sure that we're still making guitars as good or better than they did back then. That's been the number one priority. And that's taken a few years to get to. When we moved so much of the machinery, the factory machinery over, and to get that back up and working again, and to get the right people in place to make sure that it is being carefully seen and crafted all along the way, and everything with the Guild name is up to the proper specs, and we're confident letting it out. That takes some time to do. So, since we set that up in 2014, we are where we're at now. We're confidently at a place that we're creating some of the most amazing guitars that Guild's ever created. So that takes a while. We wanted to get there before we really, open the doors again out to the world. And we're absolutely there at this point. So now we're at the point of, how do you build the brand back out? We're going through a website redesign, a bit of a branding redesign. We're doing a lot more in social media now. As far as marketing channels go, there's so much to be gained from content marketing. And that's really where we're putting a lot of efforts, getting with artists, getting our guitars into the hands of artists, creating content pieces. We're launching this series called Guild Factory Sessions, actually pretty soon, where we have artists come in and they perform in the factory, in the machinery areas where we're building these guitars. So it's kind of a nice intimate take on performance in this area that we build. So content pieces like this go a long way on social media, shareable content. So those are some of the channels that we're taking and the steps that we're taking to get there. But it's an exciting brand to tap into, and the more I'm getting into it, I learn more about it, and I am more and more impressed with how many people played it, and the support there.
Yeah, it's it's got to be exciting to rebuild the brand. I mean, there's no question. I mean, obviously there's challenges, but it has to be one of the most exciting and I'm sure rewarding things. So that's really tremendous. And just to follow up on your marketing, it sounds like you're doing a lot company wide, doing a lot of social media and you said content. Is this a way to replace, what's going on with, the lack of trade shows now? I think we're coming back, but it's still a little while before we got Winter NAMM. I mean, that's several months away. So is this a way you can really get at the people directly, or would it be helpful to have that trade show? I'm sure that wouldn't be bad, right?
Yeah, I think it's hard to replace in person, anything in person, the tangible aspect of that still goes a long way. You can show something, as beautiful as you can, and create it in an environment where you can almost touch it, but you still can't touch it, right? So I think that's one of the big areas that we feel that we're missing out on with some of the trade shows is, some of the relationships that you build, the communications that you have on the floor, and just showing people the new guitars and letting them hold the guitar and play it. As you know, there's a connection involved with every guitar that you pick up, and you know it when you pick it up. So that's hard to simulate. There are things that we're doing. I mentioned the website build that we're going to be doing this coming year. Content pieces that can get you as close as you can to the guitar in a way. And we're doing, I think, everything we can to launch experiences that show the product in different environments. We're working on our audio to dial in our audio as much as possible so that you can really hear the guitar too. That's, as important as looking at it. So some of these lines that we're coming out with, this 8-string baritone that we just launched, that's one that it's hard to replicate the feeling of playing that guitar and unless you're actually playing that guitar, because you can't feel it against your body. Bass, that's tough, but we're doing what we can to kind of bring some culture, lifestyle elements into that as well. And again, factory sessions, we'll be doing some with that baritone as well. Product demos are huge. We're really putting a lot into our product demos to bring those to life as well. But yeah, you're missing a little bit from seeing it on the floor and picking it up. So hopefully those will get going again soon.
Sure, hope so. Yeah, you mentioned the new products that you're starting to release. Can you give us some more details? You mentioned one. Are there some other things? Can you give us some specs or information about why they're cool?
Yeah. So for the Cordoba side, we recently launched the Matisse series, which actually they've got a Matisse right here. Oh, this is actually dark blue. It looks a little darker here, but these are colorful guitars that we just came out with this last winter NAMM. Very cool. C1 Protege series. So you're looking at a lower end price point. And they've got this colorful top as well. They sound great, for kind of an entry level classical acoustic. And they come with these matching gig bags that match the color of the top of the guitar, which is super fun too, so you kind of have your own individual expression as you carry that thing around. It doesn't look, there's this whole idea of classical guitars all look the same, which I think is hilarious, because when you look at a wall of guitars, that's oftentimes what you say or think. And this is bucking that trend a bit, it's having something that really stands out apart. This launched in pale sky, dark, I think classic blue, aqua, and coral. So those colors are going to stand out on the guitar wall. And the gig bag's made of ocean plastic recycled materials too, which is great. So that's a big launch from the Cordoba side. We're also coming out with some more launches later this year. I can hint at a few of them. One of them is going to be a big game changer that will kind of bridge the gap between stage performance, classical nylon string, electric acoustic guitars. That'll be coming. That'll be launching it closer to NAMM. So there's a big launch coming there. We've got some exciting things coming out with our ukulele line tied to some sustainable efforts. I mentioned recycled ocean plastics. We're working in initiatives to actually tie that the ocean plastic into creating instruments and gig bags in the future. So there's a lot going on that side. Guild, where there's no shortage of products coming out. Our products team is working nonstop and having a lot of fun. There's a solid body launching right around winter NAMM. That's going to be a big game changer for Guild as well in the electric guitar side. Let's see, the baritones we're launching. There's an artist launch coming out later this year in a few months. That's going to be a big launch for us as well. A little closed on that one. I can't quite let that one out of the bag quite yet, but you'll hear shortly. We're very excited about that one. that's going to be October launch.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for the information on that. Let me ask you a little about the guitar market itself, and accessories and ukuleles. We should include all those. I think I should apologize to the viewers. I kind of say guitars probably too much, but I should be saying accessories, ukuleles, all these other things that are sold. It's not just guitars, okay? But let's get into that market. You know, everyone else I've spoken to said it was during the pandemic. It was pretty good, or really good, you know, for a lot of people. So assuming that that's the case for you guys, number one, you have a lot of new players out there that were brought in. I mean, my question is a hard one, but it's one I have to ask everyone: is how do you keep some of these people that have joined our market and hopefully have not done it for boredom? and the second question beyond that is, well, how do you keep going once we hopefully get to a post-pandemic environment when people have other things to do, so to speak? Can you give us some take on both of those things?
Yeah, for sure. We certainly saw an uptick in the amount of people picking up guitar for the first time through the pandemic, ukulele for sure. And you know, to a point where we were surprised with a few areas. Number one, education. You know, we didn't have a lot of education material to keep people going with it. In fact, we have a few demos online that you can do, but as far as learning and actually continuing that training, we weren't offering a lot. So that was something that right away we said, okay, we can sell these, but we don't want to just sell them. We want to follow through. We want to help people grow in their journey of picking this up. We want to have them keep playing. So we're offering free educational courses on YouTube now. We just launched those a month or two ago, actually. And that goes through intermediate or beginner. I think the beginner classes launched. There's about 4 series there with Katie Deneur, who's an incredible teacher. She's worked with us to get some of these beginner classes in there. Teaches you songs, teaches you chord progressions, the chords, how to hold ukulele, all of that. And then it goes through intermediate, which I think we've launched, and then we'll have an advanced course as well. So there's about 12 videos right there that help continue that journey. And I think the good thing about ukulele is you pick it up, and if you've got any kind of training, it's very easy from guitar to do something with you. And if not, then you get a few chords down, which is pretty easy to do. And then you really learn how many songs you can play with 2 chords. And it's great because it can keep you motivated to kind of continue it. So for us, it's education, keeping people educated and plugged in. I mentioned social media. We're doing a lot with social media for giveaways. We've done a couple fun challenges of, you know, cover this song kind of thing. Where do you bring your guitar, your ukulele? And we'll be doing more and more of that. I think the mini guitar market is also continuing its upward trajectory as there's more mobile musicians and options for people to bring it wherever they are. Our mini line also grew a lot through the pandemic as well too. So we hope people continue playing, and I think our take is keep them educated, become a resource for them. We're going to be growing our editorial content on our website a lot more as well. So being plugged in, artists' involvement, and things like that, so to have people coming back and having something to take away.
Okay, great. And I did want to also ask you, it's brought up as a follow-up to that. It's brought up an interesting question that's difficult for manufacturers. And you brought up your time at Live Nation. So I kind of want to use that example here because it's kind of interesting that Live Nation, I would think, you know, I don't work there, but I think that demand is usually higher than supply. I mean, unless unless a musician is just, you know, really unpopular at the time, something, more people are going to want to see a concert than the availability of tickets. Maybe not at the price it's charged, but but there's a plethora of people who want to see a particular band.
Right.
In MI until now, really, in most cases, you know, I mean, I guess Joe Lamont from them can correct me, but most of the time we have more supply than demand. But that's changed.
Yep.
That has changed due to the pandemic. So, how do you have to, you know, adjust as a manufacturer to make sure you have enough supply for everyone who wants it? Because I know this is a challenge we haven't faced before. So it has to be, you know, something that you have to change on the fly there. So, where that the customers are happy. I mean, and the retailers, I should say, as well, because they need to get your product to sell.
Right. Yeah. No, that we definitely ran into that. I mean, there were supply issues globally on every level. So I think if it would have been just the MI industry and that was affected by this, or certain brands, that would have been something. But there was a bit of an acceptance of, okay, everything's suffering from this right now. So people, I think, were more open to some of the issues that we ran into. If they wanted to put an order in for something, they weren't going to see it for 6 months. I mean, that's a long time to wait. But you know, if you want the guitar bad enough, you might wait that long or longer. I mean, speaking more for the supply chain aspect, and they could get into the details, but I know that they've done everything that they can to really find any opportunities, any workarounds, any expanding of the staff and the factories that we work with to fulfill that demand. There's been a lot done to do that. And then just as far as what we have to work with, trying to communicate as clearly as possible with our distributors and our dealers of what we can fulfill, and keeping, you know, not sugarcoating anything. This is what we can get, you know, it's what we can do at this point. We're working on, you know, whatever we can to maximize this. But be very clear with the customers, you know, this is available at this time, or it's not. And then, you know, on the advertising side, it's tough because it's hard to advertise anything when you know that there's no inventory available for that too. So, you know, you're kind of stuck in a tough spot right there. But I think the opportunity that we took was less product focused and more brand focused. Here's the branding. You know, this guitar is interesting, but we might not have that. But look at all these other guitars that we carry that you may not have heard about. It allowed us an opportunity on a brand level to maybe highlight other products that people didn't know that we carried, or we hadn't put a lot of focus on previously. So I think in that regard, people were very, you know, they want their guitar, of course, but they're willing to work a little bit and under the understanding that there's some limitations in place, but they might pick this other guitar that's in stock instead of this one. But yeah, it was in general, it was kind of an interesting year to deal with that. But we did take it as an opportunity just to build the brand in general.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for all the information and the honesty there. That's really tremendous to hear, and thank you. I think that it's great spending time with you, and thanks for joining us. I think that's should be everything we need to hear, and the retailers hopefully need to hear about the brand. And is there anything you want to add? You know, anything you know we should bring up that we haven't discussed yet that you would like to take the time to talk about?
I touched on a lot of the brand building aspects of it, but we're very excited what we're doing, particularly with the Cordoba and the Guild brands this coming year. And, you know, keep coming back to the pages, keep looking us up. You'll start seeing us a lot more actively promoting, actively advertising, active on social media. We're doing a lot of fun stuff, so check us out there. And we're very excited and looking forward to some of these launches that come out later this year and early 2022 as well. So stay tuned.
Okay. Well, thank you, Taylor Buck. I really appreciate it, from Cordoba Music Group. And again, thanks. And we'll have another one of these videos soon. But this is really great to hear from you. And No,
My
keep up
pleasure.
the great work there. Thank you.
Thank you. Good talking with you.